Hildegard of Bingen was a remarkable nun and later Catholic abbot of the Benedictine order. Born in 1098, her career went beyond the simple title of nun, standing out as a singular figure in an era marked by the Second Crusade and the Inquisition. With boldness and extraordinary intelligence, she left a vast legacy that covers fields such as theology, music, medicine, philosophy, and natural science. Her literary and spiritual output made her one of the most influential women of her era. In addition to her intellectual and spiritual impact, Hildegard was one of the first figures in the history of the Catholic Church to undergo an official canonization procedure. The process, however, was complex and took centuries to complete. After 4 failed attempts, her canonization was only formalized on May 7, 2012, thanks to Pope Benedict XVI, who recognized her holiness and the importance of her work for the Church and the world. That same year, Benedict XVI also proclaimed her a Doctor of the Church, a title granted to a few saints whose teachings are considered to be of great relevance to the Christian faith. Hildegard of Bingen joined the select group of 4 women who have received this honor, alongside Catherine of Siena, Teresa of Avila, and Therese of Lisieux, also known as Saint Therese of the Child Jesus. Her memory lives on as a symbol of wisdom, spirituality, and service to God and humanity. The last attempt to canonize Hildegard of Bingen before it was made official took place in 1244, during the pontificate of Pope Innocent IV. Although this attempt did not materialize at the time, her figure was already widely venerated due to her remarkable contribution to the Church and to human knowledge in general. Even without the formalization of the canonization process for centuries, Hildegard was already recognized as a saint by popular devotion. Her name was included in the Roman martyrology at the end of the 16th century, receiving the title of saint, which reflected the deep admiration and respect that her memory inspired among the faithful. This popular veneration sustained her relevance throughout the ages, paving the way for her sainthood to finally be officially recognized by the Catholic Church in 2012. Among the many mystical revelations received by Saint Hildegard of Bingen are her impressive prophetic visions about the future of humanity and the Catholic Church. One of the best known is the vision of 5 symbolic animals, each representing different historical periods marked by turbulence and spiritual challenges. The 5 animals described by Hildegard were a fire dog, a yellow lion, a white horse, a black pig, and a gray wolf. Each of these creatures symbolized a specific era in history, highlighting periods of moral decay and conflicts that would profoundly affect the world and the Church. According to his visions, each of these eras would be associated with a dominant carnal desire or sin, reflecting the spiritual corruption prevalent in each time. Through this powerful symbolism, Hildegard conveyed messages of warning and hope, emphasizing the need for spiritual vigilance, conversion, and fidelity to the Christian faith in order to overcome the challenges to come. Her prophecies continued to be studied and admired as expressions of her profound spirituality and prophetic insight. In Saint Hildegard of Bingen's prophetic visions, the symbolism of the 5 animals is further deepened by the image of dark ropes coming out of their mouths. These ropes extend to 5 emerging peaks, which represent different carnal desires. The connection between the animals and these peaks symbolizes the persistence of the destructive power of these desires throughout the historical eras that each creature represents. The first animal, the fire dog, symbolizes the period from 1870 to the start of the First World War. This era was marked by major political and social changes, including the rise of industrialization, socialism, and the reign of around 30 monarchs in Europe. According to Hildegard'S, the predominant sin of this era was a lack of justice. The Catholic Church also suffered significant losses, being stripped of the Papal States. In response to these circumstances, Pope Leo XIII published the encyclical Rerum Novarum, addressing the issue of social justice and the difficult working conditions that emerged in the context of industrialization. The second animal, the yellow lion, represents the era of wars between 1914 and 1945, encompassing the two great world wars. The characteristic sin of this period was moral relativism and contempt for divine justice. It was a time marked by devastating conflicts and a deep spiritual crisis. During this time, an important event for the Church was the Lateran Treaty, signed in 1929 between dictator Benito Mussolini and the Holy See, which officially established the Vatican as an independent city-state. This consolidation was seen as a providential response in a world of growing moral and political disorder. The third prophetic era, described by Saint Hildegard of Bingen, is symbolized by a white horse. This period stretches from 1945 to the end of the Cold War in 1991, a time marked by profound political, social, and cultural changes. The white horse represents a society weakened by a worn-out morality, where spiritual values and traditional virtues begin to fade. According to Hildegard'S vision, this era was characterized by libertinism and the loss of virtue. Kingdoms and governments, previously powerful and influential, became fragile and inconsistent, symbolizing their spiritual pallor and moral decay. In this scenario, hearts broke, indicating the pain and disillusionment of a world facing existential emptiness in the midst of material progress and global tensions. The fourth era, represented by the black pig, is identified as our present time. Hildegard describes this era as dominated by the bitter fruits of debauchery and immorality, with impurity and fornication being the predominant sins. This vision suggests a society consumed by ephemeral pleasures and the degradation of spiritual values, warning of the urgent need for moral and spiritual renewal. Hildegard's words echo like a call to conversion, reminding us that even in the darkest times, there is hope for those who seek the true divine light. Saint Hildegard of Bingen described the fourth animal in her vision as a black pig, a figure loaded with spiritual and moral symbolism. This creature represents an era marked by the corruption of leaders, who sink into the mud of impurity and indulge in morally reprehensible practices. According to Hildegard, these leaders openly violate the divine law through fornication and other sinful behavior, moving further and further away from the holiness required by God's commandments. This time is seen as a warning against moral decadence and the degradation of power structures, which should be instruments of justice and virtue. The fifth and final beast prophesied by Hildegard is the gray wolf, a symbol of cunning, betrayal, and imminent destruction. This era will be characterized by intense conflicts, rampant plundering, economic collapse, and a deep class struggle. The vision points to a time of global chaos and destabilization of the world's major powers, with the emphasis on a significant decline in the power and influence of the United States on the international stage. Hildegard interpreted this phase as a harbinger of the arrival of the Antichrist, indicating the culmination of a series of events that would lead to the final manifestation of evil in the world. Her prophecies continue to resonate as a spiritual warning and an invitation to conversion, emphasizing that even in times of darkness, faith and obedience to divine commandments are the way to true redemption. Saint Hildegard offers a detailed description of the era symbolized by the gray wolf, highlighting its spiritual and moral complexities. In her view, this era will be marked by the moral ambiguity of people, who will be neither completely evil nor completely holy, but rather gray due to their cunning and dubious behavior. For Hildegard, black symbolizes evil and corruption, while white represents holiness and spiritual purity. Gray appears as a dangerous mixture of these two extremes, revealing an era of hidden intentions and distorted morality. This mixture of characteristics will be the distinguishing feature of the people who will live in this era. They may show religious devotion, but at the same time act ruthlessly and hostilely towards the Christian Church. Groups that claim to be faithful could turn into persecutors, driven by political ambitions and hidden desires, masking their true aims under the cloak of apparent righteousness. Regarding the Antichrist, Hildegard gives a prophetic and disturbing warning. She says that he will reign for a short time, presenting himself as a Messiah sent by God. According to her vision, he will be accepted as such by the Jews, deceiving many with false signs and wonders. Hildegard's vision of this apocalyptic figure reflects her deep understanding of the scriptures and her concern about the spiritual deceptions that could engulf humanity in the end times. Her words continue to resonate as a call to spiritual vigilance and unwavering fidelity to divine truth. Saint Hildegard warned of a time of global disorder preceding the arrival of the Antichrist, when the entire established order on earth will be radically transformed. According to her visions, this period will be marked by absolute contempt for divine laws and religious principles. With cunning and persuasion, the Antichrist will seek to draw the world to himself, offering a false sense of freedom by allowing each individual to live according to their own passions and unruly desires. He will promote a distorted concept of love, encouraging illicit practices and weakening family ties, considered by Hildegard to be the fundamental pillars of Christian society. In her vision, sins and vices will be redefined, coming to be seen as natural and acceptable behaviors. This moral inversion will be part of a deceptive plan to prepare the ground for her domination. In addition to the spiritual and social collapse, Saint Hildegard also foresaw catastrophic signs in nature. Great floods and devastating earthquakes will occur as visible manifestations of the disorder that will take over the world. These events will be warning signs for those who still hold on to their faith, reminding them that the times of trial will be intense, but will not last forever. Hildegard's message is an invitation to spiritual vigilance, fidelity to the divine commandments, and hope in the final victory of light over darkness. Hildegard's visionary images continue to inspire deep reflection on history and the human condition, offering timeless messages about justice, morality, and faith in times of trial. Thank you for watching this video. Leave your like and subscribe to the Living Hope channel on YouTube. Activate notifications by clicking on the bell to receive other publications.